All right, let's peel back the very respectable, very proper curtain of Victorian England and take a look at a novel that sent shockwaves through society. We're diving into Mary Elizabeth Braddon's Lady Audley's Secret, a book that took the idea of the perfect angelic wife and just blew it to smithereens. So let's get into the story that had absolutely everyone talking.
Now, this wasn't just any old book. This was a sensation novel. And you've got to think of these as the 19th century version of a binge-worthy psychological thriller. I mean, they were loaded with mystery, dark crimes, secret identities, all the juicy stuff, usually hiding in plain sight within the wealthiest families. And believe me, Lady Audley's Secret was the absolute queen of the genre. Okay, but to really get why this book was such a bombshell, you have to understand the ideal woman of the time. They called her the angel in the house. And she was expected to be, well, perfect. A domestic goddess, totally submissive to her husband, pious, pure, passive, basically the moral glue holding the entire home together. A living saint. And, as it turns out, the perfect cover story. And that brings us to our main character, Lucy Graham. On the surface, she's the poster child for this ideal. She is a beautiful, incredibly sweet governess. Sure, she has a mysterious past, but everyone just assumes it's a sad story of poverty. She is the very picture of innocence. And the book makes this crystal clear. It's not just one person's opinion, it's a fact in her world. Everybody, from the highest lord to the lowest servant, is completely charmed by her. This line isn't just a description. The author is deliberately putting her on a pedestal, making her seem absolutely flawless. And this perfect angel? Well, she makes the social climb of a lifetime. After a whirlwind romance, she marries the incredibly wealthy Sir Michael Audley, a man decades older than her. And just like that, the humble governess vanishes. In her place stands Lady Audley, the young, beautiful master of a massive estate. It looks like a fairy tale ending, right? Or is it the perfect beginning for a nightmare? So let's talk about her new home, Audley Court. It is the classic Gothic setting. You know, it's old, it's rambling, it's full of history, and more importantly, it's full of secrets. The book talks about hidden corridors, a gloomy walk lined with shadowy trees, and, you're going to want to remember this detail, a deep, abandoned well. Every part of this estate feels like it was designed to hide something terrible. So Lady Audley's new life seems totally secure. But remember, this is a sensation novel. The past never, ever stays buried. And soon, a visitor arrives, someone who threatens to make her entire beautifully crafted life come crashing down. His name is George Talboys, and he's kind of a tragic character, really. He had to leave England a poor man, forced to leave behind his wife and child to go make his fortune. Well, he did it. He struck it rich in Australia, and now he's back, loaded with cash, and with only one thing on his mind, finding the wife he adores. You can already see the problem here, can't you? This is a collision course. On one side, you have Lady Audley, whose luxurious future depends on her past staying dead and buried. On the other, you have George Talboys, who is literally here to dig that past up. Her security depends on his failure. His entire happiness depends on finding a woman who doesn't even exist anymore. You could cut the tension with a knife. So George travels to Audley Court with his best friend, and in a wild twist of fate, his friend is Robert Audley, Sir Michael's own nephew. And it's right there, in this supposedly idyllic country home, that the central mystery of the whole story just explodes. George Talboys simply vanishes. And it happens so fast. He arrives in the afternoon, seems fine. That night, there's a huge storm, and he gets really agitated. The next day, he's seen going fishing near that shadowy path and that old well. 2 hours later, he's gone. No note, no witnesses. It's as if the earth just swallowed him whole. This is the moment the alarm bells really start ringing. Robert gets back to their rooms, expecting his friend to be there, and he gets this simple, absolutely chilling answer from the landlord. His friend isn't just late for dinner. He's missing. And the search that's about to begin will lead Robert to a truth more terrifying than he could ever imagine. Now, Robert Audley is described as this lazy, kind of apathetic guy. But his friend's disappearance completely changes him. His grief starts to curdle into suspicion, and all of these little clues he starts to notice. They all seem to point to the one person he'd never suspect. His charming, perfect aunt, Lady Audley. The first clue is just fascinating. It's a portrait of Lady Audley, but the artist somehow captured something unsettling.
Instead of looking sweet and angelic, her eyes in the painting have this lurid light, a kind of hardness that makes her look almost wicked. And Robert remembers that George was staring intently at this very portrait right before he disappeared.
Then comes the physical evidence. Robert spots faint bruises on his aunt's wrist, and the book is so specific, it says they look like they were made by the 4 fingers of a powerful hand. Her explanation for it is pretty flimsy, and for Robert, it's a shocking sign that there might have been some kind of struggle. It's a real crack in her perfect image. And then there's her alibi. On the exact day George went missing, Lady Audley suddenly had to rush to London. She claims she got a telegram about a sick friend, but her story is full of holes. It's all incredibly vague. To Robert, it sounds less like a trip to help a friend and more like a hastily invented lie. So let's just put it all together. We have a weird portrait, a mark of physical violence, and a super suspicious alibi, all connected to this woman who's supposed to be the pillar of virtue. The question is just hanging there, for Robert and for us. Is all of this just a terrible coincidence, or is the angel secretly a monster?
Well, this suspicion transforms Robert Audley. The guy who used to care about nothing more than his cigars and French novels is now completely obsessed. He has to know what happened to George, and he's starting to figure out that, to find his friend, he first has to uncover the truth about Lady Audley.
He basically becomes a detective. He goes to London to poke holes in her alibi. He finds a piece of a burned telegram that was sent to George, trying to warn him to stay away. He checks the passenger lists and confirms George never got on a ship to Australia. And he starts writing everything down, building his case piece by damning piece. And when you see it all laid out like this from his journal, the case against her just looks overwhelming. All the little weird things suddenly make a terrifying kind of sense. Why she didn't want to meet George. She was afraid of being recognized. The locked rooms, hiding evidence. The story about him going to Liverpool, a complete red herring. Each fact is another thread in a net that's closing in around her. This quote from Robert just captures it perfectly. He knows he doesn't have a body. He doesn't have a confession. All he has is circumstantial evidence. But all those little things, those straws as he calls them, they're weaving together into a rope strong enough to hang someone. He realizes he has to confront her. With all this evidence swirling in his head, Robert knows he can't investigate from a distance anymore. That invisible rope is pulling him back to the scene of the crime. He decides he has to return to Audley Court and face this head on.
He knows this isn't going to be pretty. He's about to accuse his own aunt, the wife of his beloved uncle, of something horrible. But he's made his decision. He is going to find out the truth, no matter how monstrous that truth might be.
So just think about where we are. Her friend is gone. Her past is a complete fabrication. Her perfection is just a mask to hide something. Everything we thought we knew about this woman is wrong. And that leaves us with one final, terrifying question. What is Lady Audley really capable of?